to do something.
Fed up is the greatest initiator of action. Fed up has caused many things to take place. Fed up is a real thing. One person cannot see their full potential. You can't see it. So you need other people around you to see what's in you, and you see as well what's in other people. Men are so not vulnerable around each other that they don't even take time to recognize the other thing in the other individual, because it's like a competition. You could be doing something so long, so many times, for such a long period of time with the same people, that you don't recognize that it's no longer working. Is it possible to change your mind? I said, of course it is. Of course you can. You need to introduce new thoughts. You need to introduce a different way of thinking, and you begin to reset and shape the way you think, because the quality of your thoughts definitely impact the quality of your life.
Firstly, I want to say thank you for everyone who has subscribed, shared, left a comment. I appreciate the support. So in the last episode, we talked about getting started with Dr. Dwayne Thomas and about the importance of taking that first step. In this episode, I sit down with independent creative and brand strategist Dexter Musgrave for a conversation about why so many men stay mentally stuck and why discomfort isn't the enemy, it's often the signal. And my favorite, how sometimes you gotta be fed up before making your first move. So if you ever felt stuck at the starting line, this conversation is for you. Let's jump right into it.
We do not give respect, and I'll use the word maybe reverence, to the values that we have as the indicators to help us make the decisions that we need to make. We think that because our values are intangible, that they're not as important, They're just not as important. So it's all about, is it making money? Is it doing so and so? But if I value joy, that is a real thing. I should pay attention to that. And that's not me trying to sound like Dr. Phil or anything like that. I really feel that for some reason, especially with men, like what we're talking, especially with men, that we do not respect and interrogate our own feelings. So it's like recently I was feeling a kind of way, and I had to stop and say, you know what? I don't like how I'm feeling, but I'm glad that I'm feeling this way. So let me interrogate. I don't like the way that I'm feeling, but I'm glad that I'm feeling something. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So how we just try to do, we just try to get rid of the feeling. But what I am learning more and more is to be curious as to why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. Like, what is it?
So from on my level, right?
Yeah. What level is that? The high level?
I don't think it is, because my response is gone. It's not gonna sound anything like what you just said. Because I just, as I see it, we do what we know, and
we do what we know,
and nobody has ever taught me, right, to assess my emotions or dissect it and then kind of chart our way forward from that. And then with the values thing, it's good. Sometimes your pocket don't match the values that you want to have. So sometimes you end up in spaces or jobs that it's just mandatory that you had to provide, and that's from the level I'm at. So I agree. But so how do I now navigate? Okay, this is best for me in terms of financially now. But then, as you're saying, when you evaluate your values, it's like, okay, you're not there.
Well, I mean, you see, we having the same discussion again, where the idea of value sounds like this lofty thing, you know what I mean? Like this thing was in comparison. It's like, what are you talking about, Dana? So I think we find ourselves in situations a lot of times that it's like not, it's like it's too late before we even realize that we got there. You know what I mean? Because we don't ask the hard questions at the beginning. It's like the script that you feel is written for you, that this is the script, follow this particular pattern. That's it. And anything outside of that feels like it's just like lofty or for certain people, but not for us. And I would say, because this is what I am learning now. What if we question it? What if we sat down and said, but why not me? I know it sounds real, like, yeah, like, like, I don't know. I don't want to use any drug names they're using here.
Yeah,
But you get what I'm saying?
yeah,
I'll give you
yeah.
an example, right? So the same person I'm talking about, that we were talking about values. I said to him, now that you understand what you have to do, what you have to do next, if you really want to move on, this conversation is not about if you could grin and bear it. It's about you now planning an exit strategy. When you have this idea of, you are able to bear something when you know it's temporary. You know what I'm saying? It's like
True. Yeah.
suddenly,
Yeah.
because I'm telling you, you could leave a job while working on a job, mentally,
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you're there, but you're not there. You know what I mean? That's the power of imagination. You see yourself elsewhere. So it's like this example that somebody gave some time ago, and I was telling him the same thing. I said, you have to understand, if you look at a ship, even, and this is how the person gave the story, if you look at a ship, when a ship realizes for some reason it is going in the wrong direction, a ship is not a rowboat, you know what I mean? Whereas some of us, we could just turn and just go. Some of us, we have to, like a ship, you have to take the engines off and allow yourself to go in the wrong direction a little longer until it's the right time to turn. So I apply that there are some times when some changes can happen immediately, and sometimes the only change that can happen is the desire to change until the moment has come for you to make the change. Because some changes, if you make it too early, you can mess up yourself. You can mess up your family. You can mess up the situation. So you have to know timing. What I am against is totally believing that you are unable to change. I am
Got you.
absolutely 100% against that, because I feel like as long as you have life, that there's an opportunity to reset. There is that opportunity to reset. That's how I genuinely feel, especially in these times.
All right, let me pause it because I don't want to stop, but I'm not too sure if he was
Oh,
ready
okay,
or
okay.
because yeah,
Okay, cool.
you was running there.
We running
All
all
right.
now, apparently.
Well, nah, that's
All
that's
right.
that's
Cheers.
good.
No hat, no hat. I'm looking forward to the hat, though.
I forget, but
Oh, okay. I
yeah.
bought one in honor of you, and I was going to wear it today, too. But today,
Well, you see where we going?
yeah, we're going.
Yeah, full foreheads outside.
How the audience doing?
Yeah, I see in finger snaps and thing in my peripheral there. Yeah, so we on to something. So it's the same conversation,
All right.
right? Because what is happening with me right now, I'm in the process of being unstuck mentally, right? Where persons like yourself and others bring a level of clarity in terms of, okay, Jerome, where do you want to go? Was it dream? Where is it in your house? Is it printed? Is it written down? And I reached the point where I can't continue crying wolf. Okay, your parents didn't raise you to think this way,
Right.
or you didn't see this in your home,
Right.
and I just keep on carrying on my back, and that's my story for the rest of my life.
Exactly.
And having these conversations kind of pushing me to the point where, okay, you want to take a stock of where you at,
Yeah.
right, and where you want to go.
Yeah.
And because I'm married now, it's like you want to stay, as we was talking about the boat just now.
Yeah.
You had to stay the ship.
Yeah.
And not looking back in the past in terms of how dad used to do this.
Yeah.
But naturally, right, without thinking about it subconsciously, this is what we used to do.
Yeah.
right? You didn't think about it, so you just go into your relationship and pulling from the same things because
Mm-hmm.
some people think that they can't change, right? And I'm glad. I don't know if it was recorded, right? But you were mentioning that in terms of your belief behind it. But what would you consider the first step um for getting unstuck mentally
Forget
to
unstuck
start the
mentally.
process
Yeah.
of moving forward and changing?
Mm. Mm. So, the thing I find, because I know a little bit about being stuck or feeling like my the way I would say it would be oftentimes I would find myself in a situation or in a program or in a job, and there's always this feeling that there has to be more than this, right? And that's when I didn't know at the time that I was stuck, but I'll tell you, the first process of getting unstuck, it might sound cliche, is recognizing that you're stuck. But you know how you recognize you're stuck? Let me tell you how it happened to me. When you saw people doing stuff and you didn't know, wait a minute, we could do that. When
Mhm.
you it's like a person who, or like how they say, with the pond, it's like you've been in this small pond and you think that this pond is the ocean. And then you
Mhm.
move from here and you go into the ocean and realize, oh my goodness, what was the pond all about? I feel like you have to see other people living a unstuck life to first recognize, wait now, what is going on with me? It's almost like their lives become a mirror because you, if you choose, like you were talking about responsibility, if you choose to say, when you see these people living a freer life, if you choose to say, or you choose not to say rather, that, well, you know what, they're entitled, they grew up a different life, they had
Yeah.
their father give them this or their mother give
Cool
them that,
swim.
they came from so and so,
Yeah.
then what you do is that you make excuses and you never take responsibility for yourself. But when
Yeah.
you start to look at it and you start to ask the question, the hard question, why not me? When, if you're willing to say why not me, and that begins to change everything, because you you take responsibility now. You take responsibility, and it is very easy to not take responsibility. Like,
Yeah.
it is easy because it's easier to look and to say, well, it's because I'm black, or because they are this, because they came from that area. It is because then you don't have to do the work. You understand? You don't
Yeah.
have to do the work.
Yeah.
That is the thing. You don't have to do the work. And I feel like what people are afraid of is the work. I think people are afraid of work. They want the reward, but they don't want the work. And I think that is why only a few people actually quote unquote succeed, because only a few people are willing to put in the actual work, you know? So getting unstuck is, first, you have to be willing to take responsibility for yourself, or be willing to be in an environment where you see other people and you interrogate, why is it that they can and I am not? And that's not, people say, you know what, you shouldn't compare yourself to different people. But I mean, without comparison, you will start to you just justify your own existence from your own existence and your own perspective.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? I'm not saying I'm not saying we should envy or we should be jealous,
Yeah.
but some of us, how do I say this, boy? I was talking to these young women today from an organization, and they were talking about the fact that, they want to empower the dreams of young women who have come from particular areas of life and stuff like that. And I said to them, because what one of them said is that, because every young person has a dream, and I said, really? I don't know, Some of us have come from backgrounds where having a dream was a luxury, where you didn't even know what a dream was, because all you knew to do was survive. That is it.
That
You
is it.
grew
Yeah.
up in an
Yeah. Yeah.
environment
Yeah.
of survival. You know what I mean? The idea of a dream was not for you. So when you start to get unstuck, you have to do things that you have to do things. You see, if you've lived most of your life being stuck, you have to do the things that people who have lived their lives being unstuck, have done. It's like a child who is never told that you can't do something or you are amazing. You can do so. They don't know what it is to grow up with fear of not accomplishing. They don't know
Yeah.
what it is.
They always had this sport.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They all they know is that of course I can do it because from very early they were told, yeah, you can. So you have to have a level of confidence.
Yeah.
You have to be a bit brazen and you have to feel uncomfortable
Yeah.
because if you are feeling so comfortable, then you're not doing it right because discomfort is like this precursor to some sort of new level that you will discover. Like
Yeah.
you have everything, like the big successes start with discomfort. It's like, can we? Should we? This is feeling kind of, what I mean? Like, yeah, but I want to do it. So,
So
because the outcome. Yeah.
so I'm going to
Sorry.
check
Yeah.
it.
You
No,
go
no, no,
ahead. Yeah,
that's
you
that's
go ahead.
great, bro.
I just rambling, bro.
No, no,
Gotta stop, man.
I don't
Yeah. All right.
say less.
Yeah.
We inside. So
Cool.
I picked up two signs when you talk about comparison
Right.
and then talk about feeling uncomfortable with where you're at.
Right.
Are there other signs that are very evident to you that you could list out? Just bring a little bit of clarity. Because for me, right, you were saying early on where sometimes person just don't want to do the work.
Yeah.
But sometimes person just not aware that I'm stuck. And this is signs of the way I'm thinking or how life is going or not doing the comparisons or not acknowledging I'm uncomfortable where I am. There are signs that I think that I didn't see early in the earlys, or I probably wasn't in the right environments to even pick up on what other persons was doing to be like, hey, I want to do that.
Mhm.
So I want to start first. What person should look at in terms of their life and signs to know that okay, maybe you're stuck.
Mhm, mhm. Well, I mean, I would ask the question of when you say a person feels stuck in this context, what do you mean when you say a person feels stuck?
So for example, right?
Mhm.
I was supposed to do this like 3-4 years ago,
Right.
and
But were you?
so so that's it. So that's the question. I believe so,
Right.
right? But I didn't think I had the capability of coming on here, sounding good, carrying a conversation, being in front of the camera, and all
Right.
those limiting beliefs in terms of just not getting it done. I had all the plans, how a good look thing, and now I'm at this point where it's like, okay, it's either I reach the place where I'm uncomfortable
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
nothing is happening. Okay, I had the plan, but what you do?
Well,
You didn't do anything.
I mean, you said that you were supposed to do this 3 or 4 years ago. I wouldn't have been ready for you 3 or 4 years ago. We wouldn't have had this level of conversation 3 or 4 years ago.
True.
And the level of discomfort, if we take discomfort as a precursor for starting something, you started this when the level of discomfort got so loud that you could no longer ignore it. So,
All right. So okay. So how is somebody to measure? So it has to reach the point where you're just like, hey, I need to do something.
fed up is the greatest initiator of action. Fed up has caused many things to take place. Fed up is a real thing. Fed up is a real thing. I don't know if anything can happen until you're fed up. Like fed up
That's a
is
really
so
interesting perspective, bro.
no, I
That's-
tell you, you had to be fed up as something. The
Mhm.
problem with us is that we so just kind of like we so just humdrum, we complacent, we just normalized. You understand? That's why I said when you go into an environment and you see people doing things, You could either choose to respond by saying, well, that's them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They could do that way. Or something inside of you says, why not? Why not me? And then that little seed, that is the seed of discomfort that's starting to grow inside of you. Because you start to wonder, but I could do this too. I remember the first time I wrote a play. I had no formal training on writing plays whatsoever. But I just felt that I could do it. And I started to immerse myself in reading other people's plays and going to plays. And I just felt that I could do it. And then I just did it. And the first play was terrible, like real bad, you know? Like,
Is this you saying that, or that
No.
was the feedback? How you assess that?
When the play was done, people didn't even know the play was done. Right?
It was bad.
It was real bad. It was real bad. All right?
Yeah.
But I didn't stop. I just kept saying, because I said I could do this. But nothing, and I've heard somebody say that you don't get to wonderful without passing through all right. You know? So we just had to be willing to say, we're willing to pass through all right. We're still in the all right stage. But fed up, boy, fed up is real, boy. Fed up will make you get up and do things, because it's like, no, I just can't take this no more. Like, fed up is the unstuck, let's call it again the antidote. Fed up is if it's stick, fed up is like, so maybe the problem is when a person is still doing the same thing the same way all these years, is that they just haven't become fed up enough to do anything different. You know?
So you, let me see if I'm getting this correct. Fed up outweighs fear?
Huh?
Fed up outweighs fear?
Fed up is a strong opponent to fear. Because I'll tell you this. The fear of not doing has to be greater than the fear of failing. Like, it has to be for you to do something. The fear of wondering what if. Like, I'm telling you the truth, if I'm being honest, I'm being really vulnerable, that is my a lot of the things that I do sometimes is because when I think about not doing it, that terrifies me. Like, I don't want the story of my life to be, he didn't try. You know, there's this story in the Bible where I think it was Abraham's father. I can't remember his name right now. But the point is that they were moving from place to place, and they stopped short and they didn't enter. They didn't enter the full promise. Even we could the children of Israel as well. And just show the fact that you can be so close to something and so far from it if you're not willing to be, I like how we say, fed up enough or brave enough to do what you know that God has put on the inside of you. You could be so close and still so far,
So what do we do to develop some level of bravery other than being fed up? Because that's one aspect. So you're fed up, but then you still have to do.
You know what I find is that people feel braver. People feel brave around other brave individuals. Like, you start to feel a bit courageous around. It's like how we having a conversation.
Yeah, that's why I was feeling this way in truth.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Right. Okay.
No. Yeah. Boy.
Because conversations like this, they do something to you, because they two things happen, right? I find maybe more than two things, but two things happen that are amazing. I find happens when I talk to you, and sometimes when I talk to individuals who claim me as their mentor. Bless them. One is which is funny, the person on the other end who's receiving from the mentor, they start to see themselves and see things differently, and then they start to say things that they wouldn't have ordinarily said, because suddenly something is happening inside them. Their courage is going up. But the other thing that happens for the mentor is that you pull things out of us that we didn't even know was there.
Okay, okay,
We didn't
okay.
even know was there. And then it's like, wait a minute, where did that come from? That was there all the time. Because sometimes we are doing stuff, but we don't know that the actions that are is like somebody is like trying to ask an artist to explain his work. He could do a good job, because he had a
Yeah,
sell the
yeah,
piece. He said,
yeah,
well, I was going through this period of my life and so on and so on and so. But in reality, he can't explain every single detail of why he painted that red rather than blue. Because, and it's the same thing with when a mentee is talking to a mentor. We are so busy living and discovering and growing and just actioning that we don't even know sometimes what is the hidden thing inside that causing this thing to give to go. So conversations do that. It's like how the Bible says iron sharpens iron. That's what it means. I am saying things to you that just lighten your fire, and you are just adding
yeah,
kerosene
yeah.
to what's inside of me, so that fire just growing.
Yeah, I want to go off on a little tangent here from my notes because
All right, boss.
this is something I real passionate about, especially for you, Dexter, because I wish and this conversation and this podcast giving the audience opportunity to get into Dexter's brain,
Mm.
but it's so limited in terms of access. And every time I talk to you, I was just like, why you don't have a channel? I mean, so you do many things,
Yeah.
right? Outside of your job, right? And I know you for creating spaces. We had creative conversations back
Creative
in,
conversations, yeah, back in the
right?
day.
And that bring back so much memories,
Yeah.
right? And then in the pandemic, I would call it a book club. You wouldn't
Yeah.
call it a book
It's
club,
true, right? With the
right?
guys. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And you keep on creating spaces. I don't know if
Yeah.
you well, I'm thinking that you're very intentional in doing that.
Right.
So there's been a track record of you creating these spaces. I'm like, we're really missing this as a society, as men, as Christians, where we have the opportunity to be in spaces like this. Um, I just put you on the spot, just suggest a little bit. Do you have any intentions of just making things like that public? And why? And if not, what's the thought process in terms of the why not, and the thought process in terms of okay, probably it's not time yet. Where you at?
A designer, he reached out to me because he had to do his thesis, and he saw my profile on Behance or something, and he reached out to me via email, and then he sent his work and said, "Hey, I have to do my thesis, and I need to have a conversation with somebody who's already in the field and stuff like that." So I told him when I saw it, I said, "Okay, I'm going to get back to you by so and so date. Let me look at what it is." So I did look at it, sent him back a feedback. We organized a meeting, and we spoke, and we had a really good conversation. By the end of the conversation, I'm answering the question, huh?
Yeah.
By the end of the conversation, he said, I knew that you would have made time for me. So I was like, well, what do you mean? He said, because he had passed through one or two other artists, and they were like, other people. But he could see from my profile and just from what he had seen on social media, he knew that I would have made time for him, right? And for the entire interview, whatever it is, that was the thing that touched me the most. So I was not necessarily intending to give him all of that. I just saw some potential in an individual and respected the potential enough to respond to it and to encourage him. And that has been a great motivation for me to identify potential in individuals, to see it in people, because I know that is in line with my calling to help move people, purpose, and ideas forward. That's my thing. That's me. 100%.
Yeah.
So those things you talk about with the book club with the guys that happened during the pandemic, and with the conversations, the creative conversations we used to have, um, that was in response to a need. That was in response to there is something here that needs to be nurtured and respected and and spoken to. I never said I was going to mentor anybody. If I'm being honest, I have said, God, please, please give me a mentor. Give
Yeah,
me a
yeah.
mentor. I am like, God, please, you know what I mean? But I have seen where I have I am unable to turn away from potential when I see it. And when I see potential combined with humility, I am totally drawn to that. I'm like, let me make
Okay.
this thing happen. So that's how the creative conversations happen. That's how the guys thing happen. You know, I was like this, and I'm driven by that. So this is something that moving forward, like you said, I've said to you that, yeah, I have to do this now. I have to put something out there because, to be honest, Jerome, I did not know that there was, what, this might sound very, you know, I didn't know that people want to hear what I have to say, right? To be honest. No, no, I'm being
No,
honest.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
No, I'm
Appreciate
telling
it,
you the
man.
truth. I
Yeah.
I didn't know that people want to hear what I had to say. You know, and it's not like I was like, oh, people want to hear what I had to say, like kind of
Yeah,
vibe. It's
yeah, yeah.
like, it's just like, oh, wait a minute, because I'm living in this space.
Yes. And
You
this is just
understand?
you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
get sound bites for the podcast. We just talking.
No, yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
understand? So when people, yeah. So
Oh
yeah,
boy.
when we had done, myself and some members of the creative community that we are part of, and we did this thing, Work in Progress, a book, about a small book for creative people who are on their way. Yeah, it was the individuals who encouraged me. It was, I just was writing posts. I think it was Christoph who was like, this will be a real good book, you know. I
Yeah,
was like, a
yeah.
book? You know what I mean? But I think if you surround yourself with individuals and you have the humility to recognize that you one person cannot see their full potential. You can't see it. So you need other people around you to see what's in you, and you see as well what's in other people. And it's this kind of thing, but I seeing for you too, but we're good on here, but we seeing
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And the humility of the relationship to encourage the growth in each other. I think that, because coming back to what you said about men have to be so, men are so not vulnerable around each other that they don't even take time to recognize the other thing in the other individual, because it's like a competition more than a
Yeah, boy.
collaboration.
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
And I am a strong believer that we are not supposed to do life alone. You
yeah.
know, we're not supposed to do life alone.
What are we to do in
Yeah.
our spaces, church, family, home, friend spaces, to create um how to word this, a better environment so that we as men could be more vulnerable, to have more healthier relationships in general?
Well, I mean, this might sound bad, but I don't think church is designed for vulnerability,
Oh,
right?
okay, all
I
right.
think the structure of church is more
Mm-hmm.
performative than it is, um, well, yeah, I think it's more performative than anything else. The way how it is set up, not necessarily individuals,
No,
but the
yeah,
way it's
yeah,
set up.
yeah.
There is an audience, there is an altar, there is a speaker, there are spectators, there is an announcer, there is a program, left, right, this, up, down, done, done. You know? So I think that those environments are designed for a particular thing. It's like,
Yeah.
when you go to a play or you go to something, somebody's on the stage, those are designed for to inform, to inspire to some extent, but not necessarily collaboration and vulnerability. Definitely not vulnerability.
I hear now
Unless the
pass.
person at the stage
Mm-hmm.
is being somewhat vulnerable and creating an environment where others can feel comfortable.
I hear now pastor in my head push him back a little bit
That's
because
fine.
I'm assuming that the pushback would be, we create small spaces, right?
Right.
We have men's meeting, and then
We
we have the
have,
Bible study. We have these smaller groups where we could talk a little more freely.
yeah.
So what is your experiences in these small spaces that you still hold fast to what you're saying?
No, I think small spaces have the potential to do exactly what you're doing, because what you're saying, sorry,
Yeah, yeah,
because people feel safer in a smaller space. But a small space could also a small space could also be a confining space if particular actions of the wider group, it just kind of translates to the smaller group. You understand? It's like, yeah, we are a
Right.
smaller group, but we're still operating like the wider
Operating like-
group. It's like, these are the protocols. This is so and so. I was recently in a small group that had a particular meeting, and I was like, nah. Like, I was like, if we can't be open and real with each other in this group, what are we really doing here? This is just, like,
All right,
no.
so I'm gonna stop here.
Yeah, man.
I like it to paint that picture. So you just say, nah. Give us a it don't have to be the real story.
No, I
Let's
get you.
create a story that's to give us that context there.
Here's the thing, right? So context, right? So whenever you come in, like we're doing this, right? I feel like there has to be an objective. I feel like there has to be, what do we want out of this? And there has to be this real desire for something real. So this, I really want to be hyper. I know. It's like,
yeah.
okay, it's like this, right? Is you can be practicing something so much, doing something so much. It's like what we were talking about before. You could be doing something so long, so many times, for such a long period of time with the same people, that you don't recognize that it's no longer working, because you stop asking the question, what's the objective? Because the act of doing it has superseded whatever objective originally existed. You understand?
Got you.
We just go in and keep doing this way. It's like the story I'm sure you've heard about, where the child asks the grandmother, or they ask the mother, why do we cut off the parts of the ham and put it inside of the oven? You understand? And when it traces back, So I feel like sometimes, not all the time, but I feel sometimes a lot of church is just what is expected of what we should be doing with church. But we don't ask, okay, but why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? And I think that's a big missing ingredient, because you see, with men, with men, I feel, I don't want to stereotype, I feel that at some point men will ask that question, why are we doing this though? Like, they may not say it like how I'm saying it to you, but they will sit down and they will detach themselves from the service. They will detach themselves from a group. They might detach themselves from even a relationship, because purpose for everybody, but purpose for men, I feel is something like, it can't be ignored. It's like they need a reason for why they do what they do. They need a reason for existence. And I know people might disagree and whatever, but yeah. At least I feel that way. Nobody can disagree with that. I always, it's like, yeah, but why? Why are we doing this? Because if the why is good enough and the why is great enough, I will do it over and over again. I will keep doing it. I feel motivated to do it because I know why I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now in my mind, I'm seeing my fellow colleagues who host men's meeting in churches, and who would have small groups and do small Bible studies, and they want to reinforce their why, but probably got caught up just in the doing. Oil in the machine.
Exactly.
This is the team we have for the year. This is the team we have for the month. And it's just like, all right, let me meet my objective. I'm a Christian. We committed. So be present, because being present is a big thing, right? Right? To be accountable, we here, but sometimes in the midst of everything, because you have your life and you have all these things happening, but you're still trying to do your best in terms of creating these spaces. And you're talking about ingredients. from your perspective, right? Because this is not a right or wrong thing. So we must have a little generalization in terms of when we're talking
Okay.
about men, right?
Okay. Yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah.
It's not every
It's not
specific
every
situation.
specific. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All it do be that, no,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
We
yeah.
just talk
We
it.
just talk it.
But yeah, in our spaces for persons within the church, given that you give that feedback about the system in the church and not persons, what's the direction they could look and or the ingredients they could start looking into in developing a more authentic space? Because originally I was asking about vulnerability and creating that space.
Mm. No, you know, there's this math teacher I used to rent from back in the day. And she used to say, apparently she was a very good math teacher. She used to say that you have to not don't teach the subject, teach the student. That's what she used to say. Don't teach the subject, teach the student. I'd be like, what do you mean? So she would say that if you find a young person and he's interested in sports, you figure out how you could use sport to teach him about Pythagoras theorem or that foolish sum x if x moves at y speed and y has a train and whatever. I'm like, why x don't know where he going in the first place, you know? So she would often say, teach the student, don't teach the subject, because the subject you could maneuver it and stuff like that. But the point of teaching is learning. If the student hasn't learned anything, then you haven't taught anything.
Yeah.
So I feel if I was to use that as an example to apply,
That's
exactly when it comes back home to how we do church, I come right back to how I said, the objective. I feel that what we have to understand that we are speaking to real people. Real people are sitting down in those chairs. Real people who have to get up every day and go to work. And we have to focus less on ensuring they don't sin and focus more on how they could live an abundant life serving God. And here I mean, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes there's the preaching that goes down, which is so sin focused. Don't do this, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. So
Yeah.
you're basically preaching fear rather than preaching, which I would say is Christ, which is He's come so that we can have life and have it more abundantly.
Yeah.
Like, tell people that, you see the same thing you talk about unstuck? Tell people the life that God has called it to live. Bring that, like Becca and I, we went to a service and the guy spoke about the treasure that is in you, the treasure of Christ, understanding who Christ is on the inside, understanding what He has brought, what He has done, you know what I mean? And when you think about it that way, you look and say, oh my God, Christ is on the inside of me. This life is on the inside of me. Suddenly, it changes the way you even think about yourself and what you can do. You feel empowered to move forward. Rather than if instead he had preached about, make sure and don't watch that movie tonight, you know. Make sure and do so and so because so, you know. So I'm not saying that, and I want to be real careful because people be like, hated.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that we shouldn't identify sin when we see sin. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm saying, I'm answering your question of how do you create an environment where a person could feel open to say, I don't have it all together, and not feel like the next thing going to happen is two Bible, they get hit up behind inside the head. They lay hands and cast out a demon.
Yeah.
You know how much people, that it doesn't, you could cast out a demon, but you can't cast out self. You got to work on self. You understand? You got to work on self. And what we have is a lot of people trying to get delivered from demons, but it's not demons necessarily.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People trying to get delivered by them, delivered from themselves
themselves.
through laying on of hands.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When what we have to help us with that is the word to renew our minds.
Yeah.
A lot of it is not necessarily changing up your tongues, it's changing how you think. You understand? And the word is designed to do that. The word is designed to renew your mind so that you think and act. The Bible says, let this mind be in you that was also in Christ Jesus, right? And I was telling a friend of ours who in the chat,
Yeah.
we was having this conversation, because he was saying to me that, is it possible to change your mind? I said, of course it is. Of course you can.
Yep.
Yeah, you need to introduce new thoughts. You need to introduce a different way of thinking, and you begin to reset and shape the way you think, because the quality of your thoughts definitely impact the quality of your life, So,
What do you want to see change in your local and church community as a man?
as a man, well, you mean as a man for men, or as a man or just as a person?
Both. Well, this
Yeah.
part is more men-centric,
I think,
but yeah.
I think we do not. I think we are not having real conversations. I think we are following a program that probably worked back in the day, but is not going to work for the generations that we have currently. I think that I want to see us talk and actually I want to see us actually talk to each other and not at each other. I want to see us not just show up on a Sunday morning and say, bless the Lord. How you doing? Praise God, I'm good. I want to see how in the book of Acts, where there were people sharing, and but you know what I really want to see? I want to see where whatever we do within the four walls of the church isn't considered to only be ministry. That's a big one for me. I want to see where, unless you are singing, playing an instrument, preaching, ushering, or collecting the tithe, that if you're not doing any of those things, that you are still considered to be in ministry, even though you may not be doing any of those five things. And I want to see the respect given to individuals who God has placed in the various sectors, corporate sector, that sector, understand that they are there by the purposes of God as well. Just as you are preaching, this individual is touching lives with their art or with their music or with whatever. So I guess what I want to see is, I want to see that the church really be the church and not this stereotypical thing that is only defined by what we do on a Sunday morning within four walls. This for sure will make you get letters. I think.
Let's go.
I think that if I work in branding, right? Branding and advertising and stuff like that. And I genuinely believe that Jesus is be like, yo, that is not my brand. I genuinely believe that he does be that is very off-brand for me, what you're doing there. I genuinely believe that, that some of the things that are done within certain types of churches or even within certain types of ministries, that people say that's Jesus be like, nope, that's not me, that's off-brand, that's somebody else, but that's not me. And
Well, that's cool.
I want to know him more now than ever before. And I want to unlearn things about him that were never aligned with him in the first place.
Yeah. So with that being said, with that being said, with that goal in mind, what can we do? And it starts with me, and starts with everybody who's listening to this now. What's the first step
Well,
Going back to
I
getting
mean,
unstuck.
get unstuck. So I guess stuck is anything that prevents you from what moving forward. Stuck is anything that is limiting to some extent. You know what I mean? Um, I feel like the first step is the conversations. Think about how we started with the men's group and we started to just kind of discuss the
Discuss.
word.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
started with a discussion. We
Yeah.
started discussing the word, discussing the book, discussing the perspective that the writer had when he wrote this particular thing. Immediately, if you were to think about that, people began getting unstuck because people who had a perception of this is like, oh, that's what I never thought about it that way. Boom, unstuck. Somebody's like, yeah, but here's what I think. So wow,
Yeah. The
unstuck.
different perspective.
You
Yeah.
understand?
Yeah. Yeah.
People and that's how the church is. That's how we work. Where when we begin to break the word and take it apart, one person says, "Hey, here's what I see." Oh, okay, but here's what I see, and then we align it back to what the scripture actually says. But that's why when we do this, this the men, I always say that I am facilitating. I'm not
Yeah. Yeah.
dominating.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
facilitating because if all of us are believers, the Spirit of God operating in all of us, and we're here to do a proper Bible study, then the Spirit of God is present. Truth has to come out of here. You know what I mean? Truth has to come out of here. So, and it does. It absolutely does. No heresy whatsoever. And we didn't start a cult. You
No.
know?
No, you didn't.
So it
Yeah.
starts with
Yeah.
conversations, I
Yeah.
think. Maybe that's not how it starts, Jerome, but I don't see conversations not happening for it to move forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see, thing, I just don't want to leave persons with, our point of view and not having somewhere to start or just to think
Yeah,
about.
you have to
You
have a
know?
conversation. You have to. It's like, you see, here's the thing, right? If you are going through something, like let's say something really bad happens to you and you tell me, I can identify with it. I could probably have compassion for what you're going through, but I could never feel everything that you're feeling in it.
Yeah.
But then if you ask me a question, because I stand on the outside of it to some extent, I can give you a perspective of it that you're not seeing because you
Yeah.
feeling all the feelings.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
am I understand what has happened, but I don't have the feelings clouding my perspective. And I'm now able to give some kind of insight that you wouldn't have originally had.
Yeah.
That's what we do for each other when we have conversations.
Yes.
We bring a perspective that is objective to help a brother who's going through all the feelings make the right decision. And conversations are necessary, if only just to hear something that's totally different from what you were thinking. So you may not follow the advice of the individual, but suddenly it adds something new, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
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 Yeah. With that being said, Dexter,
Mhm.
actually, let me address my audience.
We have an audience?
Yeah, now we have audience. We have an audience in house, or no?
We have an audience
I just
in-house as
I won't
well.
call no names and make out people and things like that. But for everybody who's watching this, let's start the conversation. Let's start the
Yes.
conversation. And even write in the comments. Let me know what are some of the conversations that you want to have and that we could have that you need insights on, perspectives on, because these are the guys I usually connect with to have these conversations. I clearly don't have it all figured out, and because of these spaces,
None of us have it all figured out.
and that's the thing. None of us have it all
Yeah,
figured out.
none of us
And we need
figured
each other.
We need
And this piece is really to one highlight some of the persons that I have around me who are doing some amazing things with their ministry, with their conversations. And I just wanted to make it a little more public, right? Dexter's gonna do some. I'm putting it out there. Dexter's gonna do some public stuff.
Yes.
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 You
so
committing?
No, we committing.
Yeah.
We fed up enough.
Good.
Yeah, we fed up enough.
And that's what it is.
Yeah.
So I want you guys to comment down below under this video in terms of what are the conversations that we can start having to make these pieces better for us to be healthier,
for us to be able to be a little more vulnerable with each
Yeah,
other,
yeah.
right? And for you to do that as well, I think you have to subscribe and like I have to put that in there, so we can carry these conversations to a wider community. I would really like you guys to share this because this has really helped me in terms of certain things that I've been wrestling with. I didn't know I needed to reach the point where I was really fed up,
Fed up.
right?
Yeah, man.
And some people right now probably just really fed up and didn't know, okay, this is
Yeah.
what I really
This is
have to do
what.
now
Yeah,
to
man.
I just need to move. I just need to
No.
do,
Correct.
and
Correct.
I need to
Correct.
find
Correct.
the space to help me develop this new thinking, need to get some new tools in terms of moving forward. Dexter, any final words
Um.
on this topic?
Well, I like the last things that we were talking about, which
Yeah.
is being fed up. I mean, like you said, the audience, you could agree, disagree with some of the things that we've said. That's
Yeah.
free. You have that option,
Sure.
as well as that. Yeah. Yeah. But I think if there's one thing I would say, it would be that you know, I am grateful to the individuals who God has put along the journey. So, like how you talk about me, God definitely put people in my life at different points um, to pull things out of me. Like a lot of my life was people pulling stuff out of me, funny enough, that I didn't know was there. You know what I mean?
Likewise.
Speaking to stuff that was inside, I was like, what you seeing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is like, and I am grateful that the way that God linked that up. One person I consider her to be my big sister. I remember I was 18 years old. I know it's a final word, but you know what it is.
No, sure.
Yeah, I was 18 years old, and she said to me, she said, "Do you read?" I was like, "You mean do I read? Of course I could read." She said, "No, do you read books?" You know?
Yeah.
And she said, "You need to read at least one book a month." I said, "What wrong with this woman, boy?" That to me was like strange. I had reached the age of 18. I never thought about intentional reading other than when I was studying for something.
Yeah.
But the idea of buying a book for the sake of reading it,
Yeah.
so you could,
Yeah.
that was just strange. So you see how we were talking about stuff you didn't realize, you know what I mean, and how you don't know. It never occurred to me that you could buy a book and read if you wanted to grow. Other than school, it's like, why would I buy a book? And she said to me, I don't even know if I can say it like this, but I'll say it how she said it. And if I can't say it, well, you'll edit it. She said that, that's the problem, If you want to hide something great from a black man, just put it in a book. And that was the spark. That was the spark. I was like, I need to read. And I started to read. And one of our mutual friends will tell you, because she said it to somebody. She said, you know how you know that Dexter really considers you and really checking for you and really interested in your growth? He would either buy a book for you
Yes.
or recommend a book to you.
Yes.
So that woman, she poured that in me that just made me, I have like books now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was because she said that to me at 18 years old.
Yeah.
And I want to say that you don't have to know everything,
Yeah.
but there are people out there who know stuff. And
Yeah.
even though you don't meet my biggest mentor has not necessarily been a person that I have met in person, but I've met their mind through their books. So those sit down and cry and say, oh gosh, I don't have a
Yeah.
mentor.
Yeah.
People write how they think. They tell you their principles. And that's what you want from a mentor. So if you want to be mentored, you need to read. Identify the people that are doing the things that you want to do, saying the things that you want to say one day, achieving the things you want to achieve. And if they've written books or they have podcasts, learn, grow, take, and you will see what will happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to thank your big sister, as they say, because if it wasn't for her, you wouldn't be reading, and if it wasn't for you,
Yeah, I
I
would be
wouldn't have
recommended
books.
to
Yeah,
you. Yeah,
I wouldn't have the
exactly.
books that I
Yeah,
have.
man, yeah, man,
I
yeah,
have
man.
today.
Yeah, man. She have a crown in heaven for sure. She getting real crowns. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to say this publicly, Dexter. Thank you so very much for being a part of my life. If you guys did not know, Dexter is my Sunday school teacher from
Yeah.
way back in the day.
Back in the day.
Yeah, so that may or may not give out his age.
Yeah.
But
That's all right.
but God had a really interesting way of just bringing you back in seasons of my life, and now we're here. And every time I feel like I don't get a revelation.
What's that? What's the revelation?
No,
man?
every time there's a different season or elevation of my life, you just for some weird reason just appear. Yeah,
Has been macro in your life.
I
Probably.
I don't know what it is.
But that is amazing. That's
no,
good, boy. That's
no,
good.
it is.
Yeah,
It
that's
is.
good.
It
That's-
is. So thank you for considering me. You always make call my names in these spaces to be a part of stuff that you normally would have. I've been able to meet some amazing persons and read some great books because of your influence. So I want to thank you so very much, and I want to thank you for doing this. Right, it means a lot to me.
It's my pleasure, man. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, man.
If you want to share your socials, let the people know what you have going on, where they could check you out at.
Okay. You can find me on my website, dextermusgrave.com. And if you want to find me on social, good luck. You know? But there is an Instagram page. I need to improve and make it better. But
We working on
working
it.
on it.
I'm working alongside you. We will get right.
We did something, man.
We get
did
right.
something.
So, guys, just remember, we could either grow through our own mistakes or through mentorship. All right. This has been the Mentor Me podcast with Jaron Birch, Dexter Musgrave. You guys have a good one. All right.
Have a good one.